Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. Welcome to the first draft of the Premier League season. There's 4 weeks to go until kickoff, and this will not be the final team by any means. But we will go through our normal statistical analysis of the players we have chosen and look at alternatives at the end. So if you enjoy this video, give it a like, hit subscribe button, and in the meantime, let's take a look. The first player on our list then will be Alisson at 5.5 million. He is expected to concede less than a goal a game last year, so plenty of opportunities for clean sheets. Picked up 176 points. They kick off away at Fulham, then have a good fixture at home to Palace, followed by Gameweek 4 and 5, more good home fixtures. In the meantime, away at Manchester United, looks like some good fixtures for Alisson and Liverpool, a good opportunity to get some clean sheets and save points under his belt. Moving into defence then, the first player, and probably already absolutely nailed for the first game of the season, is Reece James. 6 million looks like a brilliant price for him. Look at those fixtures. Tottenham and Leicester, quite tricky home games you'd have to say in the first 5, but then Everton away, Leeds and Southampton. Probably 3 teams you'd definitely look to target based on their end of season form. 6 million for Reece James in a defence that can expect to concede again less than a goal a game last year. His expected goal involvement 0.46 is absolutely phenomenal. 141 points is all he scored last year, and that's because it was curtailed due to injuries. But if we put that expected goal involvement into perspective, 0.46 of all the other players, defenders in the game last year who played at least 20 appearances, only Trent marginally scored more than James. He would be the second highest expected goal involvement player there was in defence. So Reece James for 6 million looks like a real bargain. Alongside him, I think it's very hard to ignore Ben Chilwell. Same fixtures, obviously, on that left-hand side of defence. He'll be competing with Alonso. 0.35, didn't score many points. He just didn't have many appearances. But again, if we have a look where that would rank him amongst defenders across the season, he'd be scoring more points than Robertson, and only, in fact, James and Trent would be getting more if James had played more than 20 games. So again, he looks a real bargain at 6 million. The fact that these two scored would be outperforming Robertson in terms of XGI, yet they're costing $1 million less, makes them really appealing. Alongside them, yes, we would have Robinson, again, conceding under less than a goal a game. XGI is still very impressive at 0.3. You'd have to say nailed in that left back, and look at those fixtures again. Him and Alisson doubling up, I don't mind with those fixtures. Palace at home, Bournemouth at home look like nailed on clean sheet. Away at Fulham, you'd expect something as well, and he's just so good for attacking returns. Making our fourth player in our 5-man defence, we would have Perisic. He's got good fixtures as well. Chelsea, perhaps the only blot on that landscape in the first 5 games. Southampton at home, Wolves at home looks good, or trip to Forest. We would expect some clean sheets and hopefully some attacking returns from Perisic. 5.5 million coming from Inter Milan, where he did concede a few goals, but playing at wing-back, look how potent he is. 0.43. If he can take that form and put it into the Premiership at 5.5, he just seems an absolute bargain. Question is, will he get the minutes? How much game time is he going to get? Making up that back 5 then, 4.5, Tomiyasu. Arsenal have really good fixtures. Palace away, Leicester at home, then Fulham and Bournemouth look like fixtures hard to ignore for Arsenal. Tomiyasu's attacking output, not wildly impressive. He was obviously curtailed by injuries and not joining the Premier League until later on in the season. But at 4.5, as a budget player in an Arsenal defence playing fullback, I think he offers really good value. Moving into that midfield, then the first player that would pick up on is going to be Hwang. Bit of a differential this one, but again, Wolves' fixtures are really impressive. Leeds, Fulham in the first 2 games, away at Tottenham, then Newcastle and Bournemouth. Hwang listed as a midfielder in FPL this year. Shots in and around the box 1.35. Goal involvement per 90, not greatly impressive. But again, you're only paying 6 million for a midfielder who is playing up front. 81 points he got last season. He has had a good form in internationals since the end of the season. Unsure as to why. I think it's just a genuine mistake from FPL to place him as a midfielder. He, with the fact that Fabio Silva could potentially be going off out on loan, would only really offer the alternative to Jimenez as an out-and-out striker. I think for 6 million, I quite like him. Alongside him, you would have Bakary Saka. Great fixtures, as we've already seen with Tomiyasu. His points last season, 179 on pens, 2.88 shots per 90. He's only going to get better and better. An Arsenal side that's just improving. The arrival of Jesus hopefully will only add to his attacking output, which is already impressive at 0.52. To put that in perspective again, right, so Salah 1.11, Son 0.72, and De Bruyne are the highest scoring players in the game. He's not far behind at 0.52. Have to remember, you're only paying 8 million for Saka. Son, Salah, and De Bruyne all around the 12 and 13 million. So for 4 million less, you're getting a really good player of Saka who's absolutely nailed on with good fixtures and penalties. I think again he's possibly another one that's absolutely nailed for my team for game week 1. Talking of players that absolutely nailed, very hard to avoid Salah, even when he's got difficult fixtures. He is just a machine. Look at the amount of shots per 90 minutes, 4.54. Expected goal involvement, 1.1. That means he is expected to produce an assist or a goal in at least every game, at least one. Then you put alongside the fact that he's got Fulham, Palace, Bournemouth in the first 4 games. Who would dare go without him? He will be a discussion and talking point in many videos to come. Can you afford not to have him, even if he is the most expensive player in the game? At this moment in time, I don't think I am. Let's have a look at up front then. And let's just to reiterate the fact that he is the highest player scoring. Jesus will be the person to go up front for me. 8 million. We've got good fixtures again for Arsenal. The man expected to be nailed up front. 0.73 goal involvement. That's really impressive again. He's getting over 3 shots. Obviously, these are all from Man City. Playing sometimes out wide. Obviously, not coming off the bench quite a few times as well. If he was to continue that form, you look at Ronaldo last season as the top scoring or expected goal involvement for strikers, then Kane, and Jesus would come in third if he kept that level up. And I don't see why he wouldn't in a good Arsenal side, pushing for the Champions League, not the European distractions that other clubs may have. Nailed, possibly on penalties. He looks for 8 million. Like a player again that's really vying to be nailed in my side. One player that I'm just prepared not to go without is going to be Haaland. Tricky fixture away at West Ham, but look at that. I don't want to be without him going into that second game against Bournemouth at home. Newcastle away could be tricky, but then Palace and Forest as well. 11.5 million I think is too cheap. If he continues the form that he's shown in the Bundesliga, in a City side, nailed up front, I just think he's going to get so many chances, so many goals. I cannot see how I can afford to go without him. I would be hiding behind the sofa, I think, in that Bournemouth game if I did not have him. He looks an absolute nailed on certainty for me. 11.5, I think he's a bargain. There's the side in its entirety. On the bench, making up the rest of the players, would have Fraser Forster for 4 million as the cheapest goalkeeper. There's no one else I would want with Alisson in goal. He's just not going to be rotated. Alongside him, we would have Murphy at 4.5. I think he's probably, at the moment, one of the few playing 4.5 midfielders that could get an aside. And I've got a little bit of money that I would spend on possibly Elanga. I think he could have a really important season, especially if Ronaldo's not playing. He's possibly a striker's berth up there. It would have to be something we keep an eye on pre-season, see if he's getting the minutes, and also see if they sign a new striker. Talking of strikers, Undav at the moment, again, another one I'll be interested to see. He's had such a prolific season with Eredivisie. Are Brighton going to give him the opportunities at 5.5? If they do, wow, he could be a really good budget asset going into the season. All in all then, the whole team comes up with 100 million bang on. But there are a few alternatives, and like I said, this is not going to be the final team by any shout. I certainly think that there's a few players that I really already consider to be absolutely nailed in his side. I think I definitely want Haaland, James, Chilwell, and there's other options as well. Salah, I'm 90% sure about, but again, it's just going to be, we'll bring videos out to say what you could do with that money, because it is a lot of money and there's a lot of other assets that you could go for. Other options that are definitely considered, say Maximin at 6.5. He's listed a midfielder this season. He definitely interests me. But going big at the back looks the way to go forward. So you're restricted, I feel, to how many players and how much money you can put into that midfield. Cancelo, I'd love to have him in the side. So potentially, could we release funds elsewhere? And that's when Salah comes into play. Alexander-Arnold, definitely an option at 7.5. Could go from Robertson to Alexander-Arnold. I could, as well, as you'll see in a minute, go to Alisson, to Mendy for 5 million, triple up on that Chelsea defence, bring in Trent as a possibility, or Cancelo. Riyad Mahrez, with loads of Sterling having gone, does he get more minutes with Jesus gone as well? 8 million, he could be an absolute steal on penalties. And the other one as well, if you didn't go Saka, you could save quite a bit of money and go Martinelli. He looks like a good option as well. A favourite of Arteta, getting a lot of minutes for Arsenal, are only a few of the options that we could consider. Thank you for watching. That is all for this video. Please hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're interested in new FPL content. We'll be coming back at you with details about all the new signings, looking at draft players, some of the other options. Do you get Salah or not? Let me know what your thoughts are and who your players are going to be nailed in your side for that game week 1. In the meantime, take care. Speak to you soon.